My name is Jessica Young, and this is my final research proposal for Education 502 with Nancy Powers. I did my proposal on the impact of certain demographics on the identification of Parkview High School students' need for special education services. What impact, if any, do certain demographics have on the identification of special education students? That is a question that we're seeking to answer. One problem with it would be with overrepresentation. If there is of one particular group, it can negatively affect this group because the group may be labeled as less intelligent, or that group may be held at lower standards than other groups of students. Specific demographics that we're going to look at would be race, sex, and economic status. For the review of literature, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or IDEA, their purpose is to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them a free, appropriate public education that emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs and prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living, to ensure that the rights of children with disabilities and parents of such children are protected, and to assist states, localities, educational service agencies, and federal agencies to provide for the education of all children with disabilities. One study that we did was conducted in Riverside, we didn't do the study, but the research that we found was done in Riverside, California in 1973, and this shows the demographics for population. The blue is the Hispanics, red is African American, the green is the Caucasian, and purple is other. And then the representation of each group in identified as SPED. Again, Hispanics are blue, African Americans are red, Caucasians are green, and purple is other. And you can see that although the majority of the population is white, there's still the majority in special ed, but the African Americans are much greater represented compared to their percentage of the population here. Another study done in Connecticut in 2013 revealed that their population versus SPED was more accurate. The blue represents Caucasian, the red is Hispanic, the green is African American, and the purple is other. So this one shows that the population is not really skewed for those students identified with special education. The representation is about the same for the population and for the SPED students. One study that we did looked at other factors such as teacher efficacy, which is how effective the teacher is at reaching their goal, and behavior of the student. Teachers with lower personal efficacy were more likely to agree with placement in special education, and students with combined learning and behavior problems were found to be the most susceptible to referral as well. That is found by this particular study about teacher efficacy. The research question and significance of the problem. The question that we are asking is, what impact do certain demographics, such as race, gender, and economic status, have on the identification of high school students at Parkview High School as having a need for special education services? Overrepresentation of a particular group could mean that there's a problem with the referral process. It could mean, is the agency biased, or is there a flaw in the process? Also, are certain students being held to lower standards because of these numbers? The methodology, we're going to use mixed methods. We're going to gather data by both quantitative and qualitative research. Specific data will be gathered from the school related to demographics, the makeup of the entire population, and the special education population. So we will gather information from the guidance department on what percentage of the students are white, African American, Hispanic, Chinese, and then we will also see how many of those students have been identified as special education and what the demographics represent in special education as well. Then we will break down the information by race and gender and by regular ed versus special ed, and we will put these in a chart or graph like we saw with the previous studies that we saw. Our charts will show the representation of each group versus the population, as well as versus all the students identified as SPED, just like we saw in the previous study. From there, we'll create a survey to collect additional information. This survey will include questions about age, race, gender, economic status, home life, placement, referral age, behavior, extracurricular activities, and disabilities. This is these are just a few of the sample questions that we could use. It's not a complete list. Then the survey will be distributed to the entire student body at Parkview High School, and then the data will be collected for analysis. Once the information is gathered, the data will be analyzed to determine what trends, if any, exist with the students at PVHS. Student demographics as well as survey data will be analyzed to determine if there are any factors that stand out as being a major indicator of students being placed in special education versus regular education. The data will guide the researcher to decide what impact, if any, certain demographics have on the referral of students for special education. If a trend emerges, an action plan will be developed to correct the discrepancy. Delimitations of this study are that the researcher chose to use the entire student body versus just a select small sampling such as just one grade level or just one subject area. Limitations, the researcher is not able to be present for each of these special education students' referral process, and the survey responses, student participation, we can't be guaranteed that 100% will participate, and the accuracy of the information given. Some kids may just write down whatever trying to be funny, and there are our references, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.